Hey, what's up, everyone? Kenny Schaefer again with OFIT, your Dolce Diet coach for nutrition counseling, and I have a new recipe for you. This is a dinner recipe. You can also make it a lunch recipe. This is one of our more popular recipes. It's mom's meatloaf in a pinch. A lot of you are probably going, meatloaf? No thanks. And I was a lot like that at first when I first saw this recipe. I grew up, my aunt fed us meatloaf all the time when I stayed over at my cousin's house, and just really grew a disdain for meatloaf. Never really enjoyed it and haven't in a long time. Absolutely actually love this recipe. We make it with ground turkey instead of grass-fed beef. You can do beef as well. It's just obviously going to have a little more fat content to it, which can also give it some more flavor. I like using both interchangeably. The recipe I am a big fan of because you prep it, put it into a pan, you throw it in the oven, and you can walk away for 45 minutes to an hour and continue on about your day and not be stuck in the kitchen. It's also nice because it's a recipe that's very easy to bulk prep, so that you can have this 2 or 3 times throughout the meal, and you're not having to rack your brain on how to set this recipe up to really, stretch out over the course of a week. We already set it up to serve 4 to 6 people, depending on your personal portion sizes. So some of the quick, easy ingredients can be things like oat bran, which is naturally high in selenium, which helps us battle toxins that are in the body, and it's also a naturally high source of fiber and protein as well. On top of the ground turkey, we add some eggs, some Worcestershire, of course some salt and pepper, and you can add in your own flair if you want to start adding cayenne pepper, things like that. So we'll go ahead and get into this recipe. I'll show you how quick and easy it is to make, and we'll go from there. Thanks, guys. Alright, everyone, I have all the basic ingredients laid out here. So in the blue bowl, this is my pound wild-caught, free-range, ground turkey. I have a small onion that's chopped here. Traditionally, our recipe calls for yellow onion. I like red onion, gives a little more of a spice. A couple cloves of garlic, a half cup of oat bran, 2 eggs, and then our maple syrup, the Worcestershire sauce, and some salt and pepper for seasoning. So the recipe, traditionally out of the cookbook, calls for a pound of ground turkey, which is what we have. 1 small onion that's chopped, which is what I'm adding in now. And then typically 2 cloves of garlic. I'm a huge fan of garlic, so I usually go a little more than that. Again, preference there, it's up to you. You can also, like I said before, add things like cayenne pepper or some chili powder, whatever you want to do to kind of give this your own flair. So now I'm going to go ahead and add in the half cup of oat bran. And we'll add in our garlic, and then here in a moment we'll crack the eggs and stir all this around. Like I said, this actually is kind of a sweeter meatloaf recipe, so I'm going to go ahead and add our salt and pepper. But the Worcestershire and the maple syrup really give us some good flavor. So this is a 1/4 teaspoon of Himalayan pink salt, so I'm going to do 2 1/4 teaspoons here, just because this is going to be making 4 servings. And I don't add a lot of salt to my diet, so when I do, I do a little more. Do some nice browning with some black pepper. So with this recipe, you can easily give yourself a couple slivers of meatloaf and then do like a side of steamed or sauteed asparagus, a little bit of greens of some sort. You don't have to just eat it by itself, and I wouldn't recommend just eating it by itself. So here's a cracked egg. And we'll go ahead and crack the other egg. So the recipe calls for 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire. So we'll go ahead and add that now. Make sure to shake your Worcestershire bottle like I just forgot to do. I use this gluten-free bottle or brand. Really enjoyed it quite a bit the last couple times, so I'm just sticking with it. So it's 1 tablespoon. Now the maple syrup calls for 2 tablespoons, which is really where some of the sweetness is coming in from. So next, we'll very gently start stirring all this around. I'd recommend, depending on how you add your ingredients, start out a little lighter on the stirring until everything gets wet. It's not like, flying all over the place when you're trying to stir it. So the next thing is you're going to preheat the oven at 350 degrees. Once it's ready, you're going to throw this into a nice casserole dish, baking dish of some sort, and you're going to bake it for about 45 minutes. Obviously, it depends on the depth of the pan that you're using. So if you have something that's deeper, it might take a little longer to cook, and vice versa. If it's shallow, it might take a little less time. And I'm at altitude, so I got to keep an eye on it. And just to make sure it doesn't burn. Dry meatloaf is the worst. With the egg and the sauces, it's pretty hard to mess up this recipe. So you'll see now, it's kind of got this soupy feel to it. It's looking like everything's mixed up pretty well, so we're going to go ahead and transfer this over to our baking dish. I have a nice glass Pyrex dish that we're going to use. It's already coated. You can coat it with grapeseed oil. I coated mine with avocado oil because I'm out of grapeseed, and I actually like the avocado oil a bit more. So we'll go ahead and pour this bad boy in. And for the eggs, you know, if you're vegan or you don't want it, you're allergic to eggs, I should say, because obviously you wouldn't be eating this if you're vegan. But if you're allergic to eggs, you can always just use an egg substitute, flaxseed, something along those lines. So I'm just going to spread this out nice and even. I already have my oven preheated. So we'll toss this bad boy in next. I'm kind of weird, I just like to make sure everything's nice and even, has a presentation to it. And just like that, we're good to go. So we will revisit after we pull it out of the stove. Alright guys, so the timer for the meatloaf just went off, so let's check this out.